Hello, everyone. How are you doing,
Hey, hey, hello
Fortunato?
everyone. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And Eugene?
Doing fine too. Are you watching the Olympics in your country?
Yeah, yeah. But I'm watching them on TV. I didn't attend any live match yet. But yeah, I watched some curling, which is always the core of each Winter Olympics.
Yeah, I did not watch it, but we have William later. We'll see if he can
Right.
if he has anything to comment about it.
Right.
Great. Well, so today we don't have Federico. He's not available today, so we will be talking about Kleros Curate, also some development updates, and Kleros Enterprise, and also William about the Winter Olympics, and also game theory and research. So yeah. So I'll
Also,
start
before
with.
starting, a question for you. Like, this is carnival period.
Yeah.
Any insights that you want to give us about this period? Some, I don't know, some interesting news.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm Brazilian. I'm not very much into Carnival.
Mhm,
Only watch it from mostly watch it from TV
mhm,
because you know I don't know if people are familiar with it, but in Rio there's this huge parade where there are different teams that compete to make like the best presentation. There's a lot of uh, effort put like the entire year is making is in preparation for the carnival. So they create different costumes. There's like a new music for each team every year. So there's lots of different things going on, and they compete. There's like a prize for the best one, and sometimes I watch the parade because it's really complex. It's nice to see, but I'm not going to the parties. Not my kind of party. So
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's
yeah,
super
it's a
famous. Like,
huge
I
thing.
guess, yeah, everyone knows about the Rio Carnival. We should be here wearing, these fancy dresses, yeah, the
Yeah,
carnival themed dresses.
I should have prepared. Maybe this background is more like carnival. So
Yeah.
let's continue with this one. Uh, yeah, I'm thinking that we should maybe create like a song, like a carnival song about Kleros. I'll try to create that. Let's see if it works, because each song has like a different theme. Uh,
We should.
okay, William just wrote that he is literally watching curling right now, so maybe he can comment a bit what's happening later. Great. So me start. Let me start with some of the updates that we have. So the main thing, of course, is the V2. We sent the final responses to the Sertora report. I think 1 week or 2 weeks ago. So we are waiting for the Sertora team. They are the auditors to review it and give their feedback, their final feedback. We expect not to have any other bugs to fix, but that's also a possibility because we did make some changes in the last on the last response that we sent to them. Also, we also gave some feedback about some questions that are related to mechanism design and not exactly the code. So they will also respond to that. So yeah, we are waiting for that. We are discussing internally if there will be like additional audit rounds with like a audit competition or something in that type of thing before raising the limits of staking or removing the limits and finally releasing what we called like the stable version of the V2. Yeah, I don't know if you have any comments about that, Fortunato. If,
Yeah, very look forward for V2. We are, like, as you said, we are waiting for the auditing, so we are doing things properly. And yeah, for these, we received in our channels many questions about when we will open the staking on V2, and so the answer is that we are waiting for everything to be in line, also for your security. So yeah, look forward for that.
Yes, it's also in my part, one of the reasons I'm looking forward to have the V2 launched is because it's a lot easier to join the court on V2 than on the V1, because the interface is so much better. There's also a widget directly on the V2 site where you can just swap into the token on Arbitrum and stake. But of course, right now, since it's whitelisted to jurors on V1 and people register in Proof of Humanity, most people cannot do that if they just learn about Kleros. So yeah, this will, I think, will help attract people. And well, another thing that we are very looking forward to launching is that the V2 will also allow courts with SPTs, so with basically gated courts to particular credentials, and we have two integrations that, like from day one, they want to do that. They're actually waiting for the release of the V2 to use that. So I think we already mentioned it on previous calls, but there's one fintech and one government jurisdiction, let's say, that want to use this feature. So yeah, hopefully we have like a good feedback from Sertoring and deploy that very soon.
The leap in UI and user experience in general is incredible. Myself, we needed to do some test cases with AI. I think it was back in October, and I went through the process of even of case creation. So not just interacting as a juror, which is of course easier on V2, but even creating cases is extremely easy. So probably even bots open close will be able to start disputes there.
And also, not to mention the integrations, right? Because that's also something that was maybe blocking some integrations, because the V1, I'm not a developer, but I've heard this comment that it was hard to integrate. There were lots of logics that each application had to kind of figure out by themselves, and like do some code to handle. And that on V2, there's some of these parts are more streamlined and in the contract of V2 itself. So the devs don't need to handle that. So it's easier to integrate. So that will also be great. Okay, and about the UX and also the UI, we have good news about the V1 actually. Let me see if I can share my screen really quickly. The V1, of course, it will not be the center of attention, but we are still maintaining it and updating it, because for some time it still it will be used. So right now, if you can see, you can see my screen now. This is the Port V1 right now with dark mode. This was a request for some time, and we implemented it, and we also improved it a little bit, so it looks more modern. Let me see if I can set the light mode. Light mode is still available. We also made some improvements to display the APY of each court. Here you can see Gnosis Chain. You can switch to mainnet, and you can see that I'm not connected with Web3 wallet. So that's not a requirement anymore to see the APY or see how the court see the interface of the court. So I think that's good. It's easier for you to check the APY on Ethereum mainnet and on Gnosis Chain without having to to connect with your wallet. You could even use mobile to do that. And that's also a change that we had on Curate V1, right? Let me see if I can open very quickly. So I think this also is an indication that we are um, getting better at improving our interfaces, because it's this curate the court update came, I think, 1 week after the curate update, right? Let me see if I can
Yeah,
open the list. It looks a lot better than before for me. It looks um, more organized and more modern. And as we need, we can continue updating it. I think that won't be the priority, right? Um, Actually, it would be nice for you, Fortunato, to mention what's coming for Curate now that Stay Curate is launched, and we will probably be able to start with Curate V2, right? I don't know if you have anything to share already.
yeah. The two development are in parallel. I would say are going absolutely in parallel. We, as you just showed for V1, we keep integrating the feedback that we get from the community, and in general, we want to give a better user experience and new partnership. And at the same time, we are also moving forward quite quickly with Curate V2. And to give a timeline to our listeners, of course, Curate V2 launch is tied to Core V2 because we need the audited contracts to be live. We need the open staking to be live in order to have lists on Curate V2. And also, Curate V2 overall will look quite different and more intuitive, more information, just on the same page of all V2 applications. So Core, Escrow, Curate. We are keeping adding new features, and we will be doing this also after the launch when we start getting feedbacks.
Great. Yeah. Now that you mentioned, we also had recently an update on Scout too, right? Let me see if we can share my screen. And it had, apart from the improved UI, it had other things updated, right?
Yeah. For example, there's the profile page. So now when wallet connects to the interface, they can go to their, let's say, profile, and they can see the history, what they submitted, what it's currently in registration phase, or also the win and loss ratio on court for those users we have some users who are more focused on challenging, so they are more interested in seeing their ratio of winning and losing challenges. Also, another very good feature is the CSV export, so that if you want to quickly vet all the entries that you have in our registry, you can just export to CSV, put it in your favorite AI agent, AI model, and compare it with the policy and quickly see if there are any discrepancies, or if you just want to use Scout data, you can download it as a CSV without needing any technical knowledge. Yeah, and there are like quite a lot of updates. The call would last probably 30 minutes if I would list them all. But if in case you are interested in that, we did have a deep dive call back at the end of October. So yeah, a lot of updates also on Scout, which now that I think about it, the Scout interface will stay there also when there will be V2, because as some of you may know, Scout is an extension of Curate. It's like focused on 4 registries, the one related to contract metadata, and it's what we use for vetting contract metadata. So what we will do once V2 will be live, we will simply plug it into V2 and this will stay there as its own standalone app.
Great. Yeah, I think it's very nice that we have like dedicated front ends for some different use cases. I don't know if you will share something about that on your presentation, but we do have a new chain here that we just added this week. So we started accepting Mega ETH. Actually, we were already accepting, but we started rewarding submissions to Mega ETH, which is an L2 that was launched on Monday, and also Polygon, which is probably the most popular sidechain, let's say, of Ethereum, and has really big projects like Polymarket on them. I just saw we had, I think, 3 submissions on this registry of Mega ETH. So there's still lots of opportunity to be the first one to tag them. But let me go to another product that we had an update recently. Let me share it here. The product is the Escrow V2. We had some improvements to make. Okay, I cannot do not have my wallet connected, so I will not display it. But basically, we had the Escrow V1. It also received some updates recently. It was modernized, just like the other pages. But we have the Escrow V2 that has a more complete interface with a very good flow of steps for anyone trying to create an escrow transaction. And actually made a test with my Claude bot. I don't know if you have been following, but basically my kind of an assistant or AI agent. And I asked it to create a transaction. How would it transact with another one? And it knew that I was related to Kleros because of my nickname. So it suggested Kleros. It suggested a transaction with USDC. I kept asking it to complete the transaction, create like a contract, as if he was doing like a real thing, just to see what these LLMs are trained to do, or what they are able to find. So it was able to find the escrow and the escrow v2. So asked it to create a transaction on escrow v2. It looked at the documentation that we have on GitHub, and it's not final yet. It's like still on beta, so it's not completed. But it was able to create a transaction at first with an issue on the contract on IPFS. Then I asked it to fix it, and then it was able to fix it, and it's actually now like live. So it worked basically with just simple commands without even interacting with the interface itself, just with code. So that was an interesting finding, that the bots can find the escrow and use it. And it also worked as a test of the escrow. And after that, we started supporting USDC and USDT. We'll be making some communications about that because we had people asking the community what they could use for escrow transactions. Sorry, and we have a couple of users that are using the V1 still. We didn't even know much about that. They are using it by themselves, and we hope that with the V2 we'll have more people interested. Great. So we have the escrow scout, some development on create V2. We actually updated the notification system of V1 to use the same system as V2, and it is a lot better. It has more uh, better monitoring systems. It's structured to not fail or fail in a better way than the V1. So this is something that the development team has been putting some effort on. And well, upcoming things that we have is we will be launching a future key um, project, experimental project, that will be a test for an integration that we have planned. So this will be live next week, probably early next week, and we're very excited about it. We actually already talked about this experiment, but this time it will be live and anyone will be able to participate on it. So if you are interested in future key, you can well stay tuned for that. I think it will be interesting and fun. We recently had a launched the PNK airdrop for people registered on Proof of Humanity, and also as a SEER credit for people registered. So this is something that development team is working on, and also on improving Proof of Humanity on some things that we think needed some fixes. So I think these are the main things that we had for development. Uh, we are also improving our Oracle solution and looking also for there's an open position for someone to kind of be the product manager, if I'm not mistaken, of the Oracle solution that we have. And yeah, I think these are my main updates. Fortunato, I think I talked about some of your updates, but do you have anything else to share?
Yeah, that's great. But one note that I wanted to add is that escrow that you mentioned, that we have users who that are recurrently using escrow V1 is probably, I would say, the most used Kleros tool in a permissionless way, that we don't know much about these users. They just do everything in autonomy, creating escrows, eventually escalating to disputes. So it has probably the greatest use in terms of permissionless. We also had such uses in Court and Curate too, but probably escrow is the most used one. So yeah. Moving to Curate, yeah, we shared some of the updates. So as Jean mentioned, in the Scout monthly incentive this month, we added Mega ETH, and we brought back Polygon, which has a lot of volume and activity. And also one interesting news is that last month we had around 700 new submission. 20 of those were on ATQ, and we had an increase of a total of 50,000 new tagged single addresses in total last month. So it was a strong push for a single month, and now we count for around 700,000 addresses on Scout only. So that's a huge number. We are the largest source, like crowdsourced, of verified addresses. And on this note, I wanted to add that we have an update in this sense, because we are about to partner with another player that is in the world of verifying addresses and displaying on-chain activity. We are finalizing how we can share our database with them and how they can share our database with us to both to grow and provide better solution, both in terms of safety but also in terms of blind signing, which is when signing a transaction, you see a name instead of just seeing a bunch of numbers. And the reason I mentioned this is that on the dev side, we are trying to make it easier to fetch information from our let's say our database, because right now, if you want to fetch addresses from Curate, from Scout, you either have to use the front end, as I mentioned, like the CSV or the research address by address, or you have to self-host the indexing, which both work, as our project is open source, so anyone can take our fetch our addresses. But we are working on a plug and play approach. Long story short, if you want your bot, your agent, to fetch data in a rapid way, you will be able to do that with just one line command, in short. So yeah,
That would
and
be awesome.
yeah, exactly. Both that and also experimenting agents on the submission side. So with also that, instead of having to look at the wall, if you are not familiar with Kleros and you just want your address tagged, you may do that via an agent. So we are also, this one is more like an experimental state. The having a database that it's plug and play to fetch. This is something that we are actively developing right now. So yeah, these are the main updates from Curate for last week.
Great. Yeah, I think one interesting way of thinking about that is that if you basically the rewards that you have and the deposits and everything is calculated according to the expected human effort of gathering the data and checking if the data is correct. But if you think that the automation can, if the same effort, human effort that you used to use to check like one submission, now with the same effort you can now check 10 submissions or 100 submissions, then you could potentially lower the deposits and also lower the rewards, lower the other parameters, and still expect like the same amount of submissions and the same level of attention on each submission, right? So or probably the most likely thing that will happen is that we will have increased amount of submissions and more people checking for errors in submissions, right? So that's great.
Yeah, and also we did already a round of lowering fees back in August 2025, and so far so good. We didn't see any change in the percentage of the disputed items, and still the let's say the incentive for challenger is there. We do have challenges every month, so yeah, we certainly with AI lowering the entrance barrier, so the deposit is something that we always keep into account. But 6 months ago, we already did a lowering deposit round.
Great. Well, I think this is a good time to add William to the conversation. Maybe he can make some comments about that. Hey, William, how are you doing?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, William.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you were saying, that particularly these sort of curation use cases, like so much of the what goes into how the parameters are set is based on this like calculation of expected effort of a challenger that is only going to be right. You're going to notice something challengeable some percentage of the time. So when you have an easier task for per checking a given submission, that that allows much lower deposits for the challenger. You don't have to worry much about rewarding that kind of participation, and becomes much easier to solve sort of what we call the challenger's dilemma, where a challenger that is looking through submissions that mostly are good, doesn't want to spend a lot of effort looking through like a haystack for like the rare challengeable thing, because they'll only be rewarded in those rare cases.
Great. Yeah, I think I expect like within a year, like most people, most let's say repeated challengers to be using AI tools, and also and only checking like what is flagged by the AI tools, right? With the way things are going. So, are you having lots of questions about AI and Kleros, William, lately? In
I mean,
general?
we think about that. I mean, we've been thinking about that for the past few months. I gave a presentation about sort of like my thoughts on AI and Kleros at DevConnect. We've been writing. We wrote an article with Federico, and then also Rob, who's a sort of a traditional arbitrator that's a friend of the project, on how we view AI interacting with Kleros. I mean, my background is not as like an AI researcher, but you know, these are definitely things that are in our minds. You know, like how will AIs participate as, you know, as challengers, as submitters, as jurors, you know, like crowdfunders. What sort of is the expectation we have for like how AI will interact with the different aspects of this ecosystem, and to what degree do we expect that to change how the ecosystem should like work? Will we have similar phenomena? On some level, you know, we designed these like economic games. You know, juror makes some payment if they resolve cases well. You know, if they resolve cases poorly, they have some penalty. That could be played either by humans or by AIs. And you know, you could, you know, on some, like the first approximation you might think is, okay, it's not going to necessarily change anything if we have like juror AIs, because they'll play the same game. But you know, like AIs can resolve more quickly and potentially at lower fees. There are potentially like attacks that are specific to AI jurors, where you try to like feed them prompt injection attacks and juror evidence. How do all these things interact? Are there ways that we should design the system maybe slightly differently? Do we have like AI courts, specialized courts for first round decisions and then appeals to humans? How's all that managed? So this is something that we've thought about. We continue to think about.
Interesting. Yeah, I think this week there's actually last week Anthropic announced some product related to the legal world, and there's lots of dedicated software for legal companies that and the companies that made these softwares, their stock started to declining rapidly. So now everyone in the legal world is kind of trying to think like what do you expect will be the future of law, or how to apply law, or what will be the role of AI. I think this is something that will probably be one of the themes of this year and in the legal world. And I'm sure that at some point they will arrive to some of the questions that we are asking ourselves now, like, okay, how do we want the system to be, not for people not to fall into these issues that we could have, for example, prompt injection that you mentioned, because it can really end up having like some impact in the actual, like in the disputes that are on the traditional world, right? So
yeah, but generally, like the core aspect of my vision for how we expect Kleros to interact with AI, sort of like that distinguishes us from those sort of like legal tech companies that make AI for dispute resolution, is that if Kleros has AI jurors, you know, they're participating in an open system. They can like come and be profitable and maybe continue, or they can come to be unprofitable and be pushed out. And, like, you know, their operator realizes they're losing money, which is you know, a more flexible, evaluative system compared to something where you have like a single AI that you've like enshrined. You're like, okay, you are my decision maker now, and like I'm more comfortable, at least, you know, like as a, you know, something to be studied, but as a system where you don't get stuck with like a bad, like a decision maker that doesn't have pressure on it to continue to change and improve.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
hopefully, if people make good AI, like law, sort of like decision tree resolution AIs, that will just make Kleros better because they'll come and participate and they'll compete with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a Vitalik article, I think, from 2 years ago, where he said basically that, and I think it was already kind of our intuition before that. And this Friday we had Dr. Abbas from CFILE, from this international law organization from Canada. We made a webinar with them, and he also expressed the same thing, like with the human part. Nobody's ready to take out the human part, and that will probably be there for some time, and that maybe this mechanism design can play like a role, and where everyone can trust a bit more in the system and not like a single AI or something like that, right? Yeah, so it's interesting, like the things that we have had thought about are starting to happen. William, do you have any other updates that you would like to share?
Not much. I've been thinking a lot about social choice theory questions recently. So if you followed my work for the past, like the past years, you've heard me talk about different aspects of social choice theory over time. How do we design good voting systems to handle kind of non-binary disputes? And now with V2 about to sort of be more widely available and used, less guardrails, we can take advantage of the modularity that V2 has to have different kinds of dispute sort of like logics for different types of cases. And thinking a lot about like, what's the right kind of non-binary dispute case for like different kinds of things. I've been thinking a lot about recently about clone resistance. So if you're familiar with sort of the classical theory of social choice theory, there's a lot of questions around how do you design voting systems that are resistant to vote splitting when you add similar candidates. Like if I have like one, say, right-wing candidate in my election, and then I add like a second right-wing candidate, does that make each right-wing candidate like less likely to win? There are some voting systems where actually having a bunch of similar candidates makes them all collectively more likely to win. How do you, so like there's a lot of historical research on like how do you prevent those phenomena in political elections? I've thought a lot recently about how do you do stuff like that in Kleros. You also have incentive functions, which can interact with the voting systems in interesting ways. Like this would be relevant for like particularly kinds of disputes where you have the parties to the dispute choose non-binary options. How do you prevent a sophisticated party from rigging the options in such a way that could create vote splitting effects in their favor? So, like on this particular subcategory disputes, we want like new voting systems that are adapted to that. And, like that's kind of the space where we're thinking about voting functions now.
Okay, interesting. Do you have like any example for disputes that would like you use that? Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, like a sort of toy example that I give when I talk about this in presentations, and then maybe I'll give like a maybe a real example is imagine that you have a our classical Alice and Bob, sort of Alice is a small business owner, Bob is a freelancer, and there's a dispute over whether Bob has done good work for Alice's company, and maybe Alice is sophisticated, she's hired a lot of freelancers, and she has designed the outcomes to the dispute when they've created their contract as like refund Alice, and then also like various compromise solutions in favor of Bob, like give Bob an extra week, give Bob 8 more days, give Bob 9 more days, give Bob 10 more days. And then a juror looking at this is like, well, Bob deserves more time. But if you expect vote splitting effects to happen, they'll look at all those like compromise solutions and be like, like, I think the other Kleros jurors, we're not necessarily all going to line up on exactly how much more time Bob deserves. So our votes might get split between the different options. And that could actually like swing the Schelling points of just refund Alice, which is not necessarily the right outcome. So I, as a juror, I want to have like confidence that, like this kind of vote splitting effect won't happen. If I just rank the sort of similar options together, the voting system will work that out and create a fair outcome. And like we as designers of this mechanism, we don't want to have this. We don't have to like want to have the parties like when they're potentially proposing like possible outcomes to their disputes, to have to worry about, okay, like, should I be worried that the other party of this dispute is going to like, manipulate the potential outcomes in a way that will disfavor me? We just want to have all the like reasonable outcomes and then like have the system work it out. So that it may be more realistic types of situations, really anything that has compromise solutions. If you have, like insurance or something, they might have partial payouts, or you have, like even on like kind of social media moderation, where maybe you have like kind of like discrete kind of non-comparable outcomes, like ban the user or suspend the user for a certain amount of time, or like issue warning. Like you don't want to have to worry about like similar outcomes causing splitting effects.
Okay, that makes sense. It also came to mind like some experiments that we did with arbitration, mediation, like mediation. You remember the Harmony bot by Rob? I remember these types of options that we had. I think it would make sense there not to have like any. To make the results proper. Great. Well, thanks a lot, William and Fortunato. I don't know if Lucia. Oh, one thing, William. So Canada still has a chance of winning a curling medal, right?
Yeah. So our mixed doubles curling like pair, our team, like had what I seemed like disappointing results. I'm kind of a bandwagon curling fan. I'm only watching curling during the Olympics. But they started really well. They won several matches, and then this kind of flamed out. They lost like 5 in a row or something. And I watched several of them, and they were like, some of them were like close, matches. Others were like maybe less close. So I was underwhelmed by our mixed doubles curling team. However, there's also this sort of the men's and women's like separated events with the larger teams. The men are curling right now against Germany. It's early yet, but I have high hopes for our other curlers.
Great. Yeah. So everyone, please root for Canada. We want Canada to win. Okay. Thanks a lot, William. So now I'll be adding Lucia. Thanks, Fortunato.
Hello. How are you? How is everyone doing? So basically, yes. Today Marcos couldn't come, so I will be sharing some updates about Kleros Enterprise. First, I will show you one of the. Let me share my screen. Are you watching my screen now? Yes, right? We've been working in developing lots of materials for leads, like sharing with businesses that we have calls and everything for them to understand better how Kleros works and how it benefits their businesses. So we've been working these last months with a lot of, developing articles, developing videos, and tomorrow we will be sharing this case study that our designer helped us create. That is basically a case study about Kleros and Lemon in detail. So basically, it starts talking about Lemon and the challenge that they had about user retention and how they came up with the idea of integrating themselves with Kleros, and how also we helped them create a process that felt like natural as well for their users. So here in this case study, we basically explain everything, the whole process, and also the results that they had. So tomorrow we will be sharing this in our Spanish LinkedIn. Right now it's only in Spanish, but we plan on the future like translating this to English as well, so that if anyone wants to understand how this integration works in detail, you can read it here. And apart from that, about other updates, we had our first Spanish webinar this Monday, where we introduced Kleros from different perspectives, like business, legal, and also customer experience. Because as you may know, Kleros Enterprise for businesses, it's not only like a legal tool or like a risk tool. It's kind of like a combination. I mean, it's a tool that, how can I explain this? A tool that impacts in different areas of the business. So we wanted to present Kleros from different angles. And apart from that, we've been also discussing with the team to start to create more maybe educational videos about things related with the legal world. So we will see if maybe this month we can start creating more of these videos. And basically the goal is to, I mean, at the moment we are on from Kleros Enterprise, we are trying to attract the businesses, but we also want to start attracting the final users so that they can be the ones that are pushing companies to adopt Kleros, right? So basically, we want to work. We want to work with that. I don't know, Jean, if you want to say something about regarding this.
Yes. Well, first, one thing that I would like to say is that the case study material that we have, I think it's one of the most, the better materials that we have so far
Sure.
about Kleros, because it re-explains everything, like how the disputes work, how the flow of integrating Kleros worked with Lemon, which feedback that we had from Lemon, also like which results that they have, like really tells the business story of the integration. And we of course we have some material on our site, we have some presentations, but this I think really tells the complete story. To be, I think, pretty convincing for anyone reading the material. We are also will be experimenting also with some techniques to get people to talk with us about enterprise. And let's see if we get some leads. This was the main objective, but also we now have like the best material that we can about the Kleros enterprise. In type of cases, and moving forward, we also do case studies for the other integrations that we have. So, for example, with Mendoza, with Junin that we mentioned recently, with also with MetLife Mexico. So this is something that we will be publishing in the coming months, and I think it will. It's a lot different to tell the story of Kleros Enterprise now than what was maybe 6 months ago, 1 year ago. So it's very, I really hope that we can increase a lot our reach now. And
Yes.
about the videos, I think we already had some feedback from people that already know how Kleros works. But I think these videos can definitely help get more people to understand. And of course, we already have like some people at companies that like the idea of Kleros, that they already know how Kleros works. I think in Latam, maybe in Argentina, I think most fintech companies already know about Kleros, knowing how it works. Maybe they haven't integrated yet, but they already are have some interest in doing it. Maybe they don't do it for like some other reason, like some priorities. But moving forward, we probably want also to have like how can I say grassroots thing of people asking for Kleros. So if you have like the buy-in from the decision makers and people asking for it, then it's more likely that we'll get those type of integrations. I'm also very positive that after we have the first binding cases from the consumer protection figure in Argentina, I think people will also start asking to have that implemented on more companies. So yeah, I think it's great if we have like a TikTok account for enterprise, like a short videos on Instagram and also on YouTube. If you can follow us and share with anyone that you think might be interested, it can also help us grow the accounts. And also, it's always good feedback for which type of content we should create, right? Great.
Yes, of course. We always appreciate the feedback and ideas, and yeah. And also something interesting that we forgot to mention is that this case study we created with Lemon. Like they already reviewed it and gave us some feedback and added some things. So we both created. So that's great because we also have their perspective. And I think one last update about enterprise is that the last few weeks we've been also having lots of calls with different potential leads from the tourism industry, from fintechs, from insurance, and also from different municipalities in Argentina. So we will keep you updated on those things. But I think that's it. So thank you.
Great. Yeah, I would also mention that the workshop on Monday, I think it had lots of great content that we hadn't really had before. We also talked a bit about the results of Lemon, of course, but also we had Facundo talking about how legal, like where are the legal aspects of using Kleros on different jurisdictions, and I think we didn't had that particular material yet. We'll be sharing it on social media. Maybe some companies might think it's not legal, but it's perfectly legal, even recognizing Mexico. Now in Argentina, there are some other paths that make it more official than ever. So yeah, the wins are on our favor regarding that. So yeah, I think it was a great workshop, and we are planning to do another one in March. It will be bigger, more with some guests from outside Kleros. Great. I think this is all from my side. I don't know if Fortunato, anyone has anything else to share. I think we can finish here. Yeah, we are very close to the 1 hour. So yeah. So well, thanks everyone for listening. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.